Hi everybody, I'm Chef Will Roof from Northampton Community College's Culinary Arts program. Today we are celebrating International Chef's Day with a little presentation about how we make some nachos, but we do it in a very nutrient-dense way, and we do it in a kind of, it's a vegan way, but I promise you won't be able to tell the difference. I know many chefs will make that claim, endlessly, but I promise. This is a great recipe. We tried this. We've been developing it, so we've been working on this sort of thing for a couple of months in preparation, and we got it to a point where we just think it's really good. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me just move some things around. So this year's theme for International Chef's Day is Healthy Food for the Future. So we were talking about this a little while back, and we were discussing what we thought that meant to us. And that meant things to us like how to get younger kids involved in eating healthy foods. It also spoke to us kind of about the idea of sustainability and some sort of kind of healthy options. So this is going to be a very healthy alternative to your standard nacho. And it's something that kids will very much enjoy. We had a whole bunch of kind of some brainstorming ideas when we were going to do it, and we decided that this is the way to go. And then we had a while to convince everybody on the team that it was something that we really enjoyed. But I promise, we've done all the legwork now, and this is a recipe that you can use without fail. It's going to be amazing. So we're going to start off first with our vegan cheese kind of setup. So what I need to do first is all these recipes will be posted on the actual event. We have a little one sheet. It's actually 2 pages that was made and put up there. So, but if you're following along, I'll kind of describe things as we go. This is going to be a little bit of a longer demonstration today, which is totally cool. And if you need to kind of go in and come back out, no problem. We're going to be having this on our Facebook page indefinitely. So if you need to come review this later on, no problem. It'll be up. We'll try to make a good effort to make sure that we respond to comments. If you have any questions, just drop in the comments. So first things first, I'm going to need 3 russet potatoes. These are local potatoes, and I've already washed them. It's important to wash all your vegetables. And we're just going to go ahead and peel them. I'm using just this little peeler here, these little $2 peelers. These somehow just end up being the best peelers in the whole world. And I'm just going to get most of the skin off. I don't mind a little bit of skin since it's already washed. You don't need to worry about any sort of dirt and stuff like that. But it'll affect the color of the sauce later on. So put that to the side. I'm going to go ahead and just get all these peeled up. Okay? I leave a little bit of skin on because there are some vitamins and trace minerals that are present in the skin. And again, healthy foods for the future. So, get them going. Keep a little bit of skin on. See, it's mostly skin. If you are opposed to having the skin on the potato, go ahead and peel it, the whole way. And make it perfect. Not going to affect the taste in the slightest, but if that's what your thing is, just go for it. So, in any case, get all that off. Make sure you pay attention to the tops and the bottoms. Any big parts, just a few spots right there. Okay, cool. Now, obviously, you guys already know my opinions on things, but if we're talking about the future, we want to make sure we compost everything. All of our scraps get composted here. Every single bit of vegetable-based food waste goes into compost buckets, and that goes over to our garden, East 40, which is about a quarter mile from here, and makes amazing organic produce. And we are so happy to have them on campus. So, I have my potatoes done. Next, we're going to do 1 carrot. So right now we have 3 potatoes, russets, if you can, and 1 carrot. This carrot looked a little skinny to me when we got the delivery, so I put an extra carrot in here. If your carrots are big, just use 1. I just wanted to make sure that we had enough good nutrients in here. When all this is said and done, these spices in this are going to really be very assertive, and they're going to make this cheese sauce kind of the highlight of the thing. And this is actually going to be made out of potatoes and carrots. And I know there's a bunch of you going, oh, I've had it before. But I promise. Just let us show you this thing. I promise you're going to like it. Any recipe that you tried before and you didn't like, I understand. But just give us a chance to change your mind. This is going to be a really cool dish. So what I like to do is cut my carrots into smaller pieces. This way they will cook more quickly. Remember using your fingers as a guard. Okay? And this is going to be rough chopped. I don't need this to be, hold on. I don't need this to be precise by any means, okay? So I'm not looking for great knife cuts. I'm just looking for nice, clean cuts. They have to be relatively the same size, and that's pretty much it, okay? So, then we're going to do our potatoes. I basically cut them almost into like a French fry shape a little bit. And do the same thing, okay? Go across, using your fingers as a guard. And then be roughly the same size as the carrot. If you want to increase this batch, we have done tests on this to the nth degree. And you can double, triple, quadruple this batch as long as you have a way of pureeing it really well later. This thing can be a double batch, a triple batch. You could probably even make a half batch, but honestly, when you have this, trust me, people are going to want it. So make a big batch of this nacho cheese before a game or at a party, at a potluck. You have somebody, and they, a vegan's coming, and everyone gets worried about, well, what are they going to eat while they're here? You can be the hero. Step in. So don't worry, I got it. We're seeing more and more people with food allergies in our industry, and more people who have food preferences. And it's our job as a service industry to make sure that they get what they deserve and they pay for. So I'm going to go get a pot real quick. I just have a pot with some water in it. Can't see it. I'll put it off camera. Just a regular pot. I'm going to go ahead and get this into just slightly salted water. It's a good idea when you're cooking pasta, or you're cooking any sort of starch, and in this case it's potatoes and carrots, to salt your water. You don't have to salt it really, really salty. You just salt it enough so that it's going to taste pretty good. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get this on the stove. And I'm going to bring that up to a boil, okay? We're going to bring that mixture to a boil and let it simmer until it is nice and tender. You don't want to undercook it. Overcooking it is actually fine. It'll help it puree in the blender later on. So I'm done with this part now. I'm done here. So we'll go ahead and put this to the side. Now, the next one that we're going to start working on is our chili. And you can use different kinds of things for the chili. You can use meat alternatives and stuff like that. But you can also use roasted mushrooms to create kind of a faux kind of beef texture. That's what we're going to do today. Mushrooms are very, very nutrient dense. They have a lot of cool trace minerals in them. And they're really, really good for, a number of things as far as meat replacement is concerned. So what I did, I went ahead and I got 16 ounces of cremini mushrooms, which are little baby portobellos. They're awesome. And what I did was I roasted them on a sheet tray that I sprayed. And you can kind of see they're really, really leathery now. They're really tough and leathery. And that's actually what we want. Normally I would have put salt and pepper on this, but I didn't this time. What we're going to do is we're going to grind this in a food processor. You're going to come with me and do it. We're going to grind it in a food processor, and we're going to turn it into little ground bits of kind of dried mushrooms. And let's go ahead. We can start this process. I'm going to put you right here. Is that pretty good? And our food processor, right? All right. Now, mushrooms have a lot of nutrients in them, but they also have a lot of fiber to them. So when they get dry, they get really tough. And they're mostly water. So when we roast it, we're actually removing water from the mushroom itself. So what we're going to do here is we're going to grind it down, and then there'll be kind of like a dry, like little crispy bits. Later on, when we saute them down and we simmer them in our sauce, they're going to want to pull some water in to rehydrate themselves. And luckily, there won't be any water in it. There'll be flavorful water because we're making your traditional chili base with like tomatoes and cumin. It's going to be delicious. So all those mushrooms are going to pull in the flavor from the sauce. So go ahead and get all of your stuff in here. All of your mushrooms. Now it's going to be really, really important. What I want you to do is when you're using a food processor, you do not want to puree these into a paste. You want it to be a little chunky, okay? So it's going to be a little loud for a second. I have a question. Chef Will, what do you love most about being a chef? I love teaching. Oddly enough, I love the idea that food is something that we take pleasure in, but we're also obligated to do. So I love the idea that there are people out there who don't quite have the confidence or the knowledge to do what they want to do with food. And I like to be a part of that journey to get them to a level that they can cook confidently. So that's my favorite part. And also eating, but you know. And another one, hey chef, can I use an air fryer to roast the mushrooms? Of course you can. We're looking for caramelization and we're looking for dehydration. And the air fryer would be a great alternative for that. So Kimmy, that was a great suggestion. I love that you're thinking outside the box. So we're going to go ahead and grind these. At first, I leave the thing on. I go like this just because it gets things moving or whatever. Then we're going to stop. We're going to take a look. So if you look inside, here, come with me on a journey. We still have, we have some pieces, but we still have mostly intact mushrooms. So we'll just continue. Like I said, these mushrooms are going to be very fibrous, and they're going to be very strong. So they're going to take a long time to break down. But that's okay, because as long as you don't walk away and leave it getting kind of pureed, we'll be all right. They're getting there. So in any case, these mushrooms are very dry, and they're just ready to take in any water that they can. And we're just going to have the best water to fill them with when they're simmering in our chili base. Almost there. Promise. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make what's called sofrito. If there's any people from Latin America that are watching, sofrito is going to be something that you're very familiar with. But for those of you who don't have a familiarity with sofrito, traditionally it was an Italian cooking base, but now it's much more prevalent in Latin cuisines. It's a cooking base made of a lot of the elements that you would have so look at that. Let me go ahead. Sorry, I don't mean to switch base on you, but see that they have little pieces, but they're kind of ground down a little bit. This just needs a couple more seconds, and we'll be good. Anyway, sofrito's got all these elements of bell pepper and onion. Sometimes people put tomato, and they put this herb called ricau, or saw leaf herb, into it. We're going to use cilantro today, because obviously cilantro is very similar to it. So anyway, our mushrooms are perfect. So go ahead, I'm going to get that off. I'll leave it to the side. Push our food processor into the back and get this into the front of the view. Okay? So what we're going to do is, actually no, I'm going to bring you with me. The recipe's over here anyway. So we're going to make a sofrito. Caitlin says, hi, Will. Hi. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all the ingredients of the sofrito inside the blender, and we're going to make this sofrito. So first what we're going to start off with is, you want to try to start off with a little bit of something that's wet for the base. So this is one onion, a Spanish onion. Those are just my favorite. One bell pepper. These are all washed and chopped just roughly. 4 cloves of garlic. We're going to put this cilantro. This is 1 cup of cilantro. Then we're going to put the good stuff, okay? This is 3 tablespoons of cumin seed, ground. We have 2 tablespoons of paprika. You can use smoked if you'd like. We have 2 tablespoons of onion powder. You're also going to use 1 tablespoon of dried garlic. You can use granulated garlic or you can use powdered garlic, whichever is good for you. Sometimes this needs a little bit of water to get started, but I'm going to try to do it without for the first part. And if it doesn't need it, that's great. If it does, don't worry, I got some water. I'm a prepared guy. Okay. Can you see that? Nope, we're going to go a little down. Okay, so all my ingredients are in here. Okay. Put the lid on, and we're going to see if it wants to do its thing. That sound tells me it's going to need a little bit of water to get started. That's no problem. I happen to have some water to get started. It's right here. Now, if you add water, just remember you're going to have to cook it a little bit longer, just because of the fact that there's going to be more water to cook out. And sofrito, we're trying to concentrate flavors here, so I put a little bit into it and let it go to the bottom. So go ahead. Here we go. Okay, so now we have all of our sofrito is pureed up. Ugh. If you smell it, it smells really, really good. Really good. So it has a little bit of this kind of paste thing going on. Can you see that at all out in Facebook land? It's very pasty. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to saute this down. And we're going to condense all the flavors into it, okay? So let's go on a little journey, shall we? Now in the back, you can see right there, this is my carrots and potatoes boiling, all right? It's a good thing. We're gonna use just a spot of oil on the bottom of the pan. And we're gonna this is just regular blended oil, some olive oil and some soy. You can use whatever neutral oil you'd like. Look for something that doesn't have a whole lot of flavor because we're gonna be sauteing a lot of things in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and check on our potatoes and stuff. Let's look. Oh, they're gone. They got a couple minutes though. Don't worry. So we're looking for this to get just a little bit of a sheen to it. Sometimes you'll see people will ask for a film of fat. That's just enough fat to make a film on the bottom of the thing, just to have a little bit of a cool thing. So at the bottom of the pan, you'll have a little bit of a just a layer. Any more than that, and you're gonna have a little bit of a fatty edge to it. We don't want that. So anyway, this is doing great. It has about, let's say, 10 minutes on it. And this one's warming up. Go ahead, and we're gonna dump our entire sofrito into the bottom, okay? Now, sofrito is a thing that you can use for your rice, or you can use it for your chicken stews, or you can use it for pretty much anything. This sofrito is a very, very simple one, and this is just going to help us kind of balance the flavors that we're going to create later on, okay? This is going to give us a little bit of a push to taste the way that we want it to, okay? So we also have some other ingredients that we'll go get right now while the sofrito is kind of doing its thing. So for our chili base, we also are going to have, let me get rid of these, we need 12 ounces of black beans, a quarter cup of water, and 12 ounces of tomato puree. We made this ourselves because we had some really good tomatoes. But you can just go ahead and buy them at the store. They make great, great tomato paste or tomato puree in, national brands. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this over, and that's pretty much that. We're also going to need our mushrooms that we talked about earlier, but we have some time for that. What we're trying to do right now is saute down this sofrito, and what you're trying to do is look for a little bit of fond at the bottom of the pan. And fond refers to the little kind of roasty bits in the bottom of the pan. Some people say it looks burnt, or the bits that stick to the bottom, and both of those are halfway true. They're a mix of each other kind of thing. Fond is a great base of flavor, and it helps develop things really strongly. So you want to develop as much of that as you can. Some people are opposed to that. Don't be. Fond's great. So, but this one we're actually trying to saute down until it becomes a little bit more of a paste. We're trying to cook all that water off. So you can kind of see. You see that right there? See all this, the wisps of steam that are coming off? That's not flavor. That's just pure water right now that's evaporating. All the things like the onion and the bell pepper and the garlic and all the spices, they're actually just condensing because slowly that water is being cooked out. And what you're getting left with is just the flavorful parts. You can kind of see already, this is getting a little thick. That's good. That's what we want. I'm going to wait until we develop a little bit more fond, but for right now, that's okay. So I also have my mushrooms here, and if you look, they have little pieces that they look similar to cooked ground beef. And that's what we're about. We're trying to make sure that we can kind of mimic that texture. I was having a discussion with Chef Katie today, where we were talking about this chili, and we said, chili really doesn't necessarily taste like beef, honestly, too much of the time. It tastes like spices, and it tastes like tomato. So we're just trying to nail the texture of the actual ground beef. Okay, so this is really, really pasty now. You can kind of see. Let's go down. This is really thick right now. When I take my spoon through it, it kind of stays. See that? Kind of holds its shape. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add in all the. I'm going to turn off the stuff real quick. This might take me a second. Add in all your mushrooms, okay? All the mushrooms will go in. And again, these are really, really dry. So they're going to be looking for opportunities to take in moisture. The first thing I want to do is saute them into the sofrito, all right? So at least their first opportunity to get flavor imparted into them is going to be all those awesome sofrito-based flavors, okay? So the next thing I want you to do is put in your water, okay? This is a 1/4 cup of water like we discussed earlier. And then put in your tomato puree. Again, you have to buy it, no problem. If you want to make it, that's cool too. Go ahead and mix all this together. Okay. Okay, I'm going to bring it back up to a boil. I'm going to add my black beans. It's 12 ounces of black beans. I'm going to add a splash of water just because I'm going to leave this on the stove a little bit longer than I normally would, because we're going to be doing the cheese later on. So I added just a little bit of water. If you're making this at home, you don't have to add that little extra water that I just did. If you're making this in advance, don't worry about it. I'm just going to add that just in case I can't pay the most close attention to it while it simmers, okay? So what you want to do is next is bring this to a simmer, nice and slow, and let it do its thing, okay? We're going to a close vision of it. There we go. So that's going to do its thing. I don't want to worry about having to watch it too closely. I just want to worry about this thing simmering to develop the flavor that I want. And all those mushrooms that were really, really dry, I want to give them the opportunity to soak in all that delicious flavor from the garlic and the tomatoes and the onions, some of that cilantro. You also want to season this a little bit for taste. Salt and pepper goes a long way. Sorry, bad angle. All right, so now it's at a boil. I'm going to back it down to a simmer, real light simmer. Ooh, it's getting angry. Sometimes if you don't stir stuff when it's really, really thick, it starts to get a little angry and kind of gloppy and do this whole like Fern Gully monster thing. Who was the villain from Fern Gully? Anyone remember? I can't remember. In any case, season for salt and pepper. And now we're going to let this simmer, okay? Let this do its thing. Just let all those flavors develop. Those spices are based, a lot of their flavors are based in oil, and they need a long time to come out of the fibrous, hulls and the seeds. So we're just going to let this simmer away, okay? Next thing we're going to do is check on our lovely potatoes and carrots. Now again, I know that no one's really excited about potatoes and carrots subbing in. Just a couple minutes on that. No one's really, really excited, to see what the potatoes and the carrots are going to look like in a couple. But I'm telling you, just wait. You will be shocked. When we first discussed this idea a couple of months ago, nobody on my team thought it was a great idea. So when we finally made it, we made believers out of them. So, and I'm hoping to make some believers today out of you guys. So we've worked on this endlessly for a number of, probably mostly weeks, to get this recipe exactly where we want it, to make it something that we're really, really proud of, and something that we really think that people are going to enjoy. And again, the recipe will be on our Facebook, and it'll stay there. We're also going to try to make the video available for as long as we can. perhaps indefinitely. I'll turn this down even more. Okay, so that's just gonna simmer, all right? And the next thing we got going is this cheese sauce. And this cheese sauce is amazing. So what happens when you use this cheese sauce is, oh, that was a close-up. When you make this cheese sauce, the carrots give it a little bit of color. And the potatoes, normally, if you mix your potatoes too long, you've obviously made mashed potatoes before, and you left it go too long. Oh, do I have little spots on my hat? Oh, no. In any case, they get really starchy, and they get really kind of gluey. That's the truth. We all tried it. We were in love with this cheese sauce. It's true. The whole team was like, oh, this is kind of cool. In any case, when when potatoes, get agitated for a long time, they get kind of gluey. And today we're actually going to use that to our advantage. If you puree them in a little bit of liquid, that gluiness tends to mimic the behavior of cheese a little bit. We also have a cool ingredient over here. This is called nutritional yeast, okay? You can just order it on Amazon if you want, or you can go to your local health food store. And this stuff has a quality to it that is very akin to cheese. Reminds me a little bit of Parmesan or cheddar, something just slightly aged about it. It's delicious. But when you puree it inside this sauce, it gives the illusion of this kind of cheesy kind of thing going on. And I made a joke that this reminds me a lot of like movie theater cheese sauce. I'm not saying this is like the finest French cheese sauce. This reminds me a lot of like nacho cheese sauce at a movie theater, and I love that. So just take that for what it's worth. In any case, what we're going to do is when we puree this liquid with the potatoes and the carrots in it, it'll get starched out and really gluey and goopy, and it'll actually be like cheese. We're going to use the nutritional yeast for the flavor. For the sharpness, we use a little bit of lemon juice, and we use a number of spices very similar to the ones that we added to the chili earlier that kind of tend to bulk out the flavor a little bit and make it taste a little bit more kind of Southwest. But when it all comes together with a high-powered blender, it just looks like cheese and it just feels like cheese. A lot of people just really, really enjoy it. So let me go check on our potatoes real quick. You want to come with me? Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you come with me? What are you doing? All right, so our chili is simmering away, looking delicious. Yes. This is doing exactly what I want. I'm glad I added that water. Joffrey says hello. Hello, Joffrey. How are you? We're going to go ahead and pull out just one or two potatoes. Try to check a bigger one because, like I said before, we don't want to have them be undercooked. That's not our thing. These are actually right on time. So, they don't look like it, but they are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off, and then let's take a trip together. Okay, we're going to grab this. I'm going to get a little towel real quick. That was a little hot. And we're going to come over to the sink. I have a chinois here, which is a very, very fine kind of mesh strainer. I'm going to pour the whole thing into there, okay? I don't need to reserve that liquid at all. Don't need to worry about it. I don't want to get all that liquid out of there. Woo, it's steamy in here. So we have all of our ingredients into the chinois. Now, while this is hot, and this is very, very important, we're going to go ahead and get everything set up. Let's go on this side. It's probably easier for you, right? I think so. I have a new mixer here, or new blender top. And we're going to go ahead. Outstanding, Willie. Watching you cook on this truck. How are you? I'm fantastic. How are you? So what we're going to do is this. We're going to get all of our stuff from before. In French kitchens, we call this mise en place, which means everything in its place. You don't want to start your stir fry without cutting all your vegetables. You're not making a sauce last second. So we're going to have everything in place, okay? So I have this stuff is steaming hot, all my carrots and potatoes, all right? Now this is what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of water, because obviously we want the water in the bottom. Helps blend. That was 3/4 of a cup of water. We have 2/3 of a cup of avocado oil. We like this because we had it on hand, and it's a really, really great oil for high heat stuff. It's also very nutrient dense. We very, very much enjoy it. So then we're going to put our lovely mixture I'm gonna get this in real quick. Our lovely mixture of potatoes and carrots. And you can go ahead and just get the whole thing in there. Doesn't need to be frilly or weird, just the whole thing, okay? Everybody cool with that? Nothing confusing so far? Then we're gonna go ahead and do the things that we like. So the nutritional yeast I was talking about before gives it that awesome nutty, cheesy flavor. We're also gonna do a little bit of lemon juice because that's gonna bring out the kind of the acidity, because obviously your favorite sharp cheddar gets its name from being sharp. I also have a teaspoon of cumin, 2 teaspoons of garlic, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, half a teaspoon of turmeric, which is great for health benefits, and also it's also really, really good for anti-inflammatory stuff. 1 teaspoon of paprika, and 1 tablespoon of salt. Okay? Now obviously things are salty. Cheese is a very, very salty thing. Now, here's where the magic happens. All that stuff together, I know that doesn't convince you at all. I get that. That's no problem. So, right now you're looking at this, and you're thinking to yourself, that's not cheese sauce, chef. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with it at all. Here's where the magic happens, okay? We might need a little bit of water, but I'm pretty sure this is exactly it. We've done this thing, I don't know, 6 times, so we're gonna puree this first on low speed, get everything moving, okay? Now watch. I'm gonna turn it up to high speed. Now I think this is going really well. I'm just gonna add just a touch of water because I think it's a little too thick. This is going to depend on things that we can't really predict, like the starchiness of the carrot, the starchiness of the potato, and the water content of both of those. So I added probably another 2 tablespoons of water there. Play it by ear when you do it, okay? If it needs a little bit of water, just trust it. Also remember this is very, very hot right now. As it cools down, it'll be thicker. So if you're going to serve it at room temperature, maybe you want to make it a little thin at this stage, okay? Anyway, going back to the loudness. Here we go. This is a high-powered blender. This is called a Vitamix. This is a great company that we all use in the industry. You can get them at home too. Make sure if you're not using one that you use your highest setting for your blender, okay? Now we're gonna go to high power. You thought this was high power? Just wait. Go ahead and look a little bit. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. It smells like cheese sauce. It looks like cheese sauce, but I'm not going to show you yet. I'm not going to show you quite yet. So let's put this thing together. Let's do it the way it was supposed to be done, okay? So, that's for that. My chili is done. You can see, you can see it looks nice and thick now. And you can kind of see like there's little spots of it that look like meat. And that's what it's all about. One time, I made this dish for a team, a sports team that they requested chili, and they requested vegan chili. And I made this chili the same way. And I had one of the coaches storm back into the room and say, "How could you do this? You told me it was a vegan option, and these guys are lifelong vegans." And I said, "Sir, it's vegan." And he dragged me out and made me eat a teaspoon of it. And I said, "I can promise you, I made this from mushrooms." So that's the bar that we're setting here. I really think this is really, really good stuff. So I have these right here, 2 bowls. Okay. I'm gonna go get a spoon real quick. I'm gonna go ahead. I have a little avocado here. I know this is cheating because avocado makes everything great, but so what we're gonna do is we're gonna plate up some of these nachos, okay? I'm just gonna show you how awesome this looks from a chefing standpoint, okay? Have an avocado. This is a great avocado. I'm gonna go ahead and slice this lengthwise, okay? It'll be good for plating, okay? Now remember, if you're doing ready-to-eat foods, you wanna wear gloves, okay? So I've got a pair right there. Anyway, put on my gloves, and we're going to get to plating, and then you guys can enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody cool with that? First things first, we're using some whole grain tortilla chips. These have flax, and they have quinoa, they have stone ground corn, brown rice. We're looking for really, really nutrient dense stuff. This is Food Should Taste Good brand, but we actually found a bunch of brands that had very, very similar nutritional content. So look for something that's going to be nutritionally dense. That's the whole idea. If you're going to feed this to kids like nachos. They're going to eat whatever. So this is an opportunity for you to really put some good stuff in here and let them kind of figure it out themselves, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and make just two plates. I have a question here. How can I get Jake to actually try this? Because I'm lactose intolerant, so I need this in my life. I promise you, you just make this and Jake will eat it. We have plenty of people on my team who are a little reluctant to try it, and a couple of people that really thought that this is not going to be great, and I promise they liked it just fine. So anyway, here's my two bowls, okay? And the first thing I want to do is I want to have stuff ready. Mise en place. I made a little bit of a salsa with some fresh tomatoes, like I talked about before. But the first thing we want to do is, obviously, is to get a load of this cheese sauce, okay? Let me get these avocados out. Once you slice it that way, just go ahead and go around, okay? And they'll be free from it. So put to the side, and I'll get ready to plate, okay? So the first things first, nacho cheese sauce. I'm going to just show you. Here's the reveal. It looks like nacho cheese sauce, right? Honestly, the funny thing is, it tastes like it too. It's crazy. Look at this, you know? It looks like movie theater nacho cheese. Again, it's not like the finest French cheeses. It's not the artisanal kind of thing, but it's delicious, I promise. So we're going to go ahead and plate this up now to finish. Caitlin, these are really good. He won't be able to tell the difference. I promise you're completely right. Here we go to plate. What we're going to go ahead and do is just drizzle this all over the nachos. Everyone has a real problem with nachos when it comes to not getting to the bottom, so I like to really, really over cheese so that it starts to kind of drizzle towards the bottom, right? I have that right there. I want to do a couple of spots of this chili, kind of here, here, here. Just kind of get it all over the place, okay? Because you want that kind of that contrast. The cheese sauce is going to be rich, and you want this kind of this really, really nice, acidic, bright chili on the outside, okay? Everyone following so far? We're doing pretty all right. And then we also have some of this salsa, which is made with these awesome heirloom tomatoes. Really, really simple. If anybody needs a recipe, comment and we'll figure something out. I want you to go ahead and just sprinkle this kind of all over the place, okay? Look at that. It's really, really good tomato flavor. Just kind of get it all over the place. And then lastly, some avocado slices. You can fan them out if you want. You don't have to be fancy if you don't want to. If you're going to dive right into it, don't worry about it. Okay? That one fell apart a little bit because it's a really good avocado. So there's an example of not really worrying about it, okay? I'm going to go ahead and take my things off, my gloves. This is our finished dish, okay? We've got awesome chili, we've got nacho cheese sauce, we've got avocado, and we've got salsa. But here's the craziest thing. It's very highly nutrient dense. This is way, way better for you than standard nachos. Also, you're telling me the kid won't eat this? A kid's gonna love this. Maybe he doesn't like avocado, maybe he pushes it to the side. No problem. But maybe you want to jazz this up in some way. Maybe you put a hot sauce, no problem. If you like pickled jalapenos, go for it. We're still in vegan territory. vegan food doesn't have to be a compromise, and vegan food doesn't have to be a letdown. It can be its own kind of thing. And this looks delicious. So this is also gluten-free, it's dairy-free, this is nut-free. If you need an option for a diner that's coming in for a party, wants to book a wedding with you or something like that, or you just want to have something cool to bring to a potluck, why not consider doing something like this? Bring the cheese sauce, bring the chili separately, and have a little bit of a nachos bar. Bring a bag of chips, and that's it. You let it figure out. Looks delicious. It is delicious. Thank you, Joffrey. Again, concentrate on the cool things about this being it's nutrient dense, it's very easy to make, and it's delicious. So, healthy food for the future. We think this encapsulates that very, very well. The chips inside them have flax seeds and stuff. This is crazy good for you. In any case, this is our dish. This is nachos. They are vegan, and they are super, super delicious. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll be watching. And as always, I am Chef Will Roof of Northampton Community College's Culinary Arts program. And thank you very, very much for joining us. Have a